Hello everyone, as Mihal mentioned, my name is Connor Gagan. I'm the BrightWork 365 product owner, and I'm here today to talk to you about this idea of using Microsoft 365 to create a centralized program management office. So here at BrightWork, we've been in existence now for 29 years, and through that period, we've developed an approach to project and portfolio management that serves our customers well. It ensures that not only do you have the right tooling solution in place, but also supports you on how to introduce a centralized PMO successfully. So we're here to support you on your PMO success strategy and to help you figure out what's your approach and what you need to introduce and when. In essence, how do you get from here to there through a combination of software, deployment assistance, and personalized services. So to support you with your change management journey, our team have developed the Start Evolve process, or as some might call it, the crawl, walk, run. But it doesn't have to be a crawl to start with. It can be a fast start. It can be a start that puts an amount of project management in place that gives you both visibility and control across all of your projects very quickly. Then you can see where you're at, and you can gradually evolve your project management approach by putting in additional functionality and evolving over time to continue to deliver against your project management success strategy. So our approach is actually baked into the design of our software. There's the deployment approach and the change management approach, which of course will support you with, but also you'll see it in the software itself through the templates, through our configuration options, and through all the additional support and optionality we've created within BrightWork 365, built specifically to support project management. So the question to answer today is, how might you start to create a centralized project management office? Or if you've already started and you've got some ideas on that, how can we support it? And then how might your first evolve step look? And then how might your second evolve step look as you layer on more project management processes and detail based on your requirements and based on your success strategy plan? Understanding all of this, where are we coming from? Well, BrightWork has been around for 29 years. Our BrightWork on SharePoint application is still in use today by a host of customers. And it's there that we've built out our approach on project templates, on proven project management processes, and the Start Evolve framework, which I'll talk about some more shortly. It's also where we've refined and we continue to refine our services and support model. So there's all of that, but then there's also the integration with the best bits of Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Power Platform. So from a Microsoft 365 perspective, it's integration with Microsoft Teams, integration with SharePoint Online, Azure Active Directory, and your standard Office suite, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, OneNote. And then on the Power Platform side, you've got your Power Apps, Forms and Processes, you've got your Power BI for reporting, you've got your Power Automate for workflows, and the Dataverse engine sitting behind all of that, pulling the data together. So we're harnessing all of this to deliver exactly what you need. Now, it's worth noting that this is all Microsoft 365 infrastructure already, but what we're doing is packaging it up and pulling it all together to create a centralized program management office solution to support you guys. So I'm going to turn my camera off. I think that's enough from me visually. And what I'll do is I'll hop into the app and just give you your first demonstration of what that looks like inside of BrightWork 365. So when you open the app for the first time, you'll be presented with this page. You've got three separate sections in here. You've got your request section on the left-hand side. This is ensuring that you get the right projects kicked off the right way through the request process. In the middle then, once a project request has been approved, this is where the work actually happens. These are groups of tasks that determine what work needs to be done. And then over on the right-hand side, you've got your portfolios, which is a roll-up of your program, of your projects into groups of programs, and then your programs are rolled up into portfolios. So you've got a hierarchy in place here of projects into programs and on up into portfolios. Down the left nav then as well, we've got a number of items that are always available and always visible to you as a user. Home is where we are right now. We've got my work. So the idea behind my work is, how am I doing? What work do I need to get done to ensure that I'm staying on top of my groups of tasks and keeping our projects moving? Below that, we have the dashboards. So this is more of a group consideration. How are we doing as a team, as a group, or as a department, and how are we delivering on that? And don't worry, I'll be clicking into all of these shortly to give you some more detail. We also have a help section, which is incredibly useful to ensure that if you've got a question inside of BrightWork 365, we've integrated our BrightWork 365 knowledge base in here to support you. So let's say you're coming in for the first time, you want to know something about portfolios, you can quickly click in here and you'll be presented both with text-based and video options to show you more detail or to provide more detail to you on what you're trying to work through. So really, really useful. From a request perspective then, this is, as I said, in the center part, this is exactly what you want to do to make sure you're setting your projects off on the right foot, but also what you want to make sure of is that there are less projects pushing through this process that are going to be potentially challenged or potentially fail. And like the other elements, I'll come back to this shortly to give you more detail. From a projects perspective, we've got quick access to projects, issues, and risks. All of these I'll demo for you shortly as we get into our project templates. But the stuff that I want to show you down below is on the grouping of projects into programs and portfolios. So our portfolio view, for example, is in this demo tenant, the top 2 level tier view of what's happening inside of the project. So we have both confidential projects, which alludes to security, which we've recently demonstrated, and we have Contoso All Access. So by clicking into this portfolio, we can see our list of programs, and then by clicking into this, and you can see here on the right-hand side, health icons and other statuses at the program level, and then by clicking into the program, you get down into the project level detail. So you start to see the hierarchy building here from portfolios down to programs and down to individual projects. The other thing to mention here is down in the bottom left-hand side for PMO or system admins, we've got access to the templates in the admin area as well. The templates area is particularly important because templates are what underpins the structure of our approach and your approach to BrightWork 365 once you take it on board. What essentially you can do with templates is you can develop a quick start, you can govern how you manage your requests, how you manage your projects, and so on. Templates are completely configurable, so you can start quickly and then evolve them to your project management requirements as you go. So really, really useful. Now that's enough of the app for now. Let's hop back into the presentation and we'll talk a little bit more about the start. So there's 3 stages I want to take you through today: a start, a first, and a second evolve. But the goal with the start is that we've got and worked with you on your project management success strategy, and then we're going to help you deploy the right amount of project management through templates and processes to enable quick access. So we'll go through that in some more detail now, and then as I progress, we'll visit the first evolve and the second evolve as well. So the goal here is to make sure that we're giving you 3 things: a reasonable amount of project management access. So what you're getting from that is a structure that you can leverage without getting too detailed or overwhelmed with the amount of project management that's in place. The second thing we're giving you here is the ability for your team members to collaborate and contribute easily on projects and for them to quickly interact with work that's assigned to them. And the third thing that I'll show you and that you're getting from this approach is visibility for your senior managers. So very, very clear oversight of what's happening, leveraging this project light or this start approach. Now, this isn't 100% prescribed. This is what may work for you and what we would recommend as a starting point if you're coming in fresh with no clarity on how you want to proceed. However, all of this is configurable, and again, I'll demonstrate that as we go. So let's jump into a project light template and take a look. So I'm going to use the middle console here to track into my projects. I'm looking for project light, so I'll just drag this across. And in here, I've got my employee onboarding project. So there was 6 tabs referenced in the PowerPoint slide that I wanted to refer to. The first of these is the charter. So what you've got in here is a standard expectation of data that you would see in a project that's been triggered off the back of a request. For example, you've got your project reference and name, your manager and project sponsor. All of these can be configured and changed at any time with the right permissions. You've got your portfolio and program. So where is it situated in terms of the hierarchy I described previously? You've got your source request. So this was triggered from a request that was called employee onboarding, a Teams channel if required, and some schedule settings, which I'll revisit at a later stage in this demo, just to give you a little bit more detail as we build up that information. Then across the bottom, we've got free text descriptions and objectives, and then project type and priority. So basic amount or a reasonable amount of information here to get you started without getting too detailed and requiring too much input. What we then have is a project status. This is a current view of the project health. And you'll see on the right-hand side, it is a health indicator. It's going okay, but not great. It's sitting at yellow or amber if you prefer. And then in the schedule, this project is in progress with some free text comments about it being underway and a 25% complete identification in here. So what you're getting is an overview of where the project is at right now. You don't have to go into all of the detail. You can come here, and if the PM is completing this as you would expect he or she to do, you should be able to very quickly understand where you're up to. With the team section, then you can see all of the users that are working through this particular project. All of them are referenced here with edit access. That both alludes to their access within the project and also security level access that we could talk about later on. And then you'll see start and finish dates. So a minimum start date to a maximum finish. If they're in the project across multiple tasks, they are spanning this period of time. These users are all in the Gantt currently with actions or have been in the Gantt previously. So your Gantt really is your schedule of tasks. What this is doing is giving you a very simple and clear way to interact from a scheduling point of view with any work that needs to be done. So very, very useful. Let me just make this a bit bigger. Very, very useful view of the world. Now within this, what I can do is scroll down until I see my name, or I can use the My Work function on the next tab across to quickly identify the work that's assigned to me. But let's say, for example, I'm aware that this is work that I've had to do. I've taken time to do it, and it's now complete. I can quickly come in here and navigate to this work and say, actually, let's change that from not complete to done. I've now completed this work, and I'm able to move on to the next stage or my next task in the list. I can also see other tasks in here. If I'm a PM, I can scroll through these and say, actually, there's a welcome email here from Eamon. Say I'm aware that that's been sent. I'll update it in here as the PM. I've got the ability to come in and make these changes. So I mentioned that I can also see my work from a My Work perspective. This is absolutely true, and this is project specific. So what I did just now was I had a single task in here that I moved from not started to complete, and I can go in with laser-like focus using the My Work approach, and I can see very, very quickly this is what that looks like. That task is actually not complete, but here's all of the work that's assigned to me within this specific project of work. What I can also do then is I can take a step back and use the My Work functionality in the navigation bar on the left-hand side, not just to see work that's assigned to me within this project, but I can jump out, and I'll jump back in to describe these in a moment. I can jump out into the overall My Work view for me, and I can see all project tasks across all projects that are assigned to me. So I've got 3 projects, 4 tasks assigned, including the one we were just looking at there in employee onboarding. And I can say, actually, this is done. And then even if I want, in a similar view to what you saw inside of the project, I can come back in here and see any work that's been completed if I wish to restart it. So there's a couple of different ways we can navigate through this. All of them are designed to make sure that it's very, very clear to you as a user and as a team member that you can contribute to your work, collaborate with your colleagues, make sure that you know what work is coming, and then to work it accordingly through this process. Now, additionally, in this Project Light template, and this is the basis for any further templates I may demo today, so all of these tabs will be included and layered as we get into more detail with Project Standard and Project Structured. You'll see in here a view of all documents associated with the project. So you've got all of the items I referred to in the earlier slide around your Microsoft Office suite. You can add Word, PowerPoint, OneNote, Excel, etc. You can also build out a folder structure should you wish to do so. And actually you can add almost anything in here. You've got PDFs referenced in here in this current example. So these are project specific documents that you can refer to and are very, very useful so that you can manage documentation within this exact project. Now we've got project settings and approvals in here too. I'm going to leave those for now. They're only available or visible to the project manager. Team members won't see these, but they're worth noting that they're here, and I'll go through them in some more detail as we get into some of the later templates. And then the last thing for those of you that are interested in keeping an eye on the audit history is that this is also captured in here. So every action within the project is captured. If something is changed unexpectedly, you can come in here and take a look and see who's made the change and when did that change occur, and you can track it accordingly. So that's Project Light. That's a view of both the work within the project using the Project My Work view and my overall My Work view. But the other thing I wanted to share with you is our first look into our dashboards. So there are 11 out-of-the-box dashboards that are included as part of BrightWork 365 out-of-the-box functionality. And what we can use these for is senior manager or a sort of executive overview of what's going on across requests, projects, down into further detail around risks, issues, costs, and then even into capacity and resource utilization, which I'll demo shortly. So let's say we're looking at projects. We want to go in and see the health of all projects that I have visibility of and it's a security reference inside of the app. Here I can see every single project that's in there that's at all health levels. Then I can scroll through only those that are red or green. Or alternatively, if I'm just focused on my own project management, I can go in here and look at my projects, of which I have 3, and I can see very quickly 2 of them are sitting at yellow and 1 is sitting at green. So I can very, very quickly assess and identify what's going on. So this is the idea behind the start. It's a reasonable amount of project management that allows you to see a couple of things and to allows your team to collaborate quickly, and allows you as a leader or as a senior manager to navigate through the work that's getting done and see how it's progressing against project health or against work that needs to be done within each project. So that's your start. Now, as I said at the beginning, and I'll say it again now, this is how you might proceed with a start. The goal here is to work with you on the journey to make sure that you've got a project success management strategy that you're comfortable with. It may include all of these things and more. It may be a subset of these. We will work with you on this journey. Our customer success partners are experts at this. We'll make sure that you have everything you need to work through this section of the approach. Now, let's say we've done our start. So we've had this in place for a reasonable amount of time. The team is getting comfortable with the approach, and you now want to say, right, we've got that under our belt. Now we want to take the opportunity to move off the start and onto our first evolve. You have an opportunity then to decide what you would like to include next and how you would like to proceed with further refining your project management journey. So let's say we're going to evolve your process with some additional project templates. I've just shown you Project Light, and then some additional portfolio and program dashboards. What might that look like? Here's an example of some things that we could leverage as part of our first evolve process. So down the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see 2 new project templates, a project standard and a project structured. Both of these are designed to enhance your project management maturity. You can layer these up, including both status reports, actions, and issues from project standard with what's sitting in project structured with risks, costs, and communications, or you can pick and choose as you require. And then more detailed Power BI reporting, which I'll demo for you shortly. And as I was saying, on the right-hand side, you've got an increasing level of management moving left to right, from light to standard to structured. You can decide as you work through this process, I'd like to maintain my light template, but include actions. Or I'd like to move to standard or even structured, but remove resource utilization. You can determine yourself and configure on the journey what you want to include or exclude as we work through this process. So it's completely at your fingertips as to how you want to proceed. Now let's hop back into the app and look at the project standard approach. So I'll navigate back to my dashboard, into my projects, and project standard is here. So even the charter is starting to evolve, where previously we had project type, description, priority, and objectives. Now we've got exit criteria, approval requirements, out of scope, etc. These new items are appearing in here because they're part of this template and they're included as part of the configuration step. So you can see more detail appearing, not just with new tabs occurring, but also with existing tabs looking to capture more information and have it referenced in the project. Then we have status reports. So I looked at status in the last instance. What you'll note in here is that where previously we had health, now we have health, time, and scope. So we've got 2 other inputs or indicators that are going to change how health looks, and it's a calculated field. So when we make a change to these and save our inputs, you'll see health is responding off the back of these changes. So you can configure these indicators and more as you require. These are just the default ones for the project standard approach. We also have now included this new tab, which is status reports. A status report is essentially a snapshot of the project today. You can come in here and identify what period it is closing at. You can use the free text fields to identify accomplishments, challenges, and upcoming focuses. And then you can determine who this is going to be shared with. It can be the project sponsor, project team, additional recipients with free text. You can manage yourself exactly who you want to send this communication to, and what they'll receive in their inbox is a snapshot of this project, an image of how this project status is looking. And then what you can do is kick off that process by saving the status report here. So I can save and close and hop out. And then what I've done here, and you can see I've done it a few times today, is I can snapshot that, and now I've got another reference in here that will sit permanently as a historical reference of the status report that I just generated. So you can go back through these at any stage and track them over a period of time. The next thing I wanted to mention in here, well, actually, before we jump into actions and issues, I want to go back into the Gantt. So now that we've had a look at Project Lite and we've seen how you can come in here and manage your schedule-based work, there's other things you can do in here too. So in our second to last release, we introduced a new scheduling type. So instead of just a standard duration with work level effort, what you can start to do in here is you can play around and say, I need to fix something. I need to fix the duration or the work, or in this instance, I need to fix the unit or the resourcing that's available. So before I go in and make the change, this is assigned to Eamon, it's plan task 1. I'll come in here and change this to fixed unit. So I'm locking the resourcing. And let's say Eamon's not available 100% of the time, but only 50. Our 17 days and 136 hours of work is going to have to recalculate because Eamon's only available at 50% capacity. So we'll save that, and those of you who might have seen the Gantt reload will note that now with a fixed unit scheduling type, forcing the work to understand, or forcing the Gantt to understand that Eamon is only available for 50% of his time, the duration, the work hasn't changed because it's still 136 hours, but the duration, the time needed to complete it has doubled. Half the resourcing has doubled the time. So we've got multiple improvements like this that we are continuing to work on, but this was one of the most recent ones from a Gantt perspective that the team has developed and is incredibly useful. You can use this for things like a fixed duration period for, say, a 3-day offsite, or fixed work period. You're doing consultancy for 7 hours over a day, a week, a month. It may vary. You can manage your work multiple different ways on top of what I just demonstrated with the resourcing approach. So really, really useful. Now, outside of that, I wanted to take you into the other new tabs in the project standard space. So here we've got actions. Now, actions aren't schedule dependent. They're not on the work breakdown structure. They're not even on the task list, but they're important and they need to be done. So here's a good example: schedule conference room B. It's assigned to Jim. It's a particular action that needs to be completed. It's not sitting in the Gantt, but it does need to be monitored and it does need to be completed. So you've got your action details on the left-hand side. It's assigned to Jim. It's going to sit along with other tasks that he would have inside of the Gantt in his My Work view. It has a resolution step and approval stage if required, and you can even add further details in here. And you can also attach documents if you need to. So there's document attachment opportunities in a number of these different items. I won't go into the documents too much, you get the idea. But the action itself is now something that is tracked within the project and is something that Jim is going to have to complete at some stage. Similarly with issues, these are items that we're concerned about. We want to work the worry, work the issue, and ensure it's getting resolved and not ignored. So, for example, the help documentation is not sufficiently detailed. It's something that someone has raised as an issue. We have detailed the issue here, and looks like it's me, and we need to work through some actions. So more detail required. Again, it's assigned to Jim. It's sitting in his list of tasks into My Work, or sorry, it's sitting in his list under My Work of items to complete. And there's going to be, what I would expect is that he will come in here and update this and then provide the resolution. So those are the extra tabs that we've included in here under Project Standard. The other thing that we've got is Project Structured. So if we hop back into our projects list and navigate down to Project Structured, we continue to see increases in the number of tabs across the top. So all of these are configurable and optional, but we've now included risks, costs, and communications as well. So you've already managed your Project Lite. You've then gone to Standard with status reports included, actions and issues. And now with Project Structured, you're including your risks, costs, and communications as well. So we'll go straight to those. From a risk perspective, really what we're thinking about here is, what is a risk? How do we mitigate it? And how do we workflow it? So what do we need to do in each instance to manage this risk? So we've got our risk down the left-hand side with all of the details associated with it, including its level of impact, its probability, and its exposure. And all of this can be calculated like this locked field is, or can be provided in drop-downs or free text at your discretion. We have our mitigation steps and then our contingency steps associated with this risk. And again, you've got the option to include documents against this, just like I've demonstrated previously, and to track this risk and to assign this risk to a particular user. Apologies, this isn't assigned to a particular user, I don't believe. Additionally, then you've got your costs. You can come in here and add a new cost at any stage. So for example, we'll add a secondary cost in here. We can go in and add whatever values we need to associate with this cost, include that information in here for reference, and whatever we include, we can then see recurring back into the cost overall view. As we add items in here, we can start to then build up a budget, a forecast, and actuals to date. All of this can be calculated based on the costs that we include here on the right-hand side. And then finally, on the communication side, we can also track emails or any other communications that are important. So let's say we've got an email discussion that we need to be aware, the team needs to be aware of. We can add a reference in here to it. I'm just going to save it and close as is. And what you'll see, you can add your text and all of the detail as required, is that it starts to build up a catalog of those in here under communications. So here's another example of an email reference that needs to be tracked within the project. So what we've done with Project Standard and Project Structured is we've built up more and more project management functionality that we believe is useful and important to include as part of your approach to your project management success strategy. But on top of that, we also want to look at how we can continue to refine our view of this. So what does this look like? Actually, one last thing I want to show you in there before I go into the reporting is schedule settings. I think this is something that's incredibly useful that we've added recently. So I mentioned schedule settings previously. Essentially what we want to do is, what you need to be aware of is that we've got a global setting in our admin area that determines a working week. So you can set your working week Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. with an hour-long break, or you can set it to, Saturday, Sunday, only working weekends, only working set times of the day, and you can do this globally. But you can also do this at the project level. So we decide, actually, I'm going to override the global settings. Monday to Friday is now changed, and I'm going to come in and edit this and only assign specific work days as part of this project. So only Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and between 8:30 and 5. And what that does is it changes the task calculations on the Gantt to ensure that tasks can only be completed on these 3 days. So if you have a 6-day task, it would take 2 weeks as a result of our project override settings here. So really, really useful if you're working in a non-standard week, or if this project is part-time, you can manage it in here through your overriding your global settings and managing your schedule settings separately. The other thing you can do in here is you can manage project exception days. So let's say you want to add a second company offsite. You can do that in here as well, and you can assign a date, and it will assign that as a non-working day within the app. So for example, you might have 4th of July or St. Patrick's Day or various holidays that you want to observe within your local area, or you might have a company offsite or something else that's referenced that you don't require work to be done on that day. You can include them in here as project exception days. So really, really useful schedule settings in here and calendar settings that allow you to manage your project at a project level, and as you would have seen at the calendar stage, also allow you to manage it globally if you would prefer to manage all projects under the one calendar. So I wanted to share that before I jump back into our dashboards. Now, the dashboards I shared above were certainly useful in detail, but what we're seeing down here with the Power BI dashboard is getting to the next level of detail. So essentially what you're seeing in here is an overview of all portfolios and projects. You can drill down as you wish. You can look at only stuff that's sitting inside of Contoso, and you'll see everything's updating off the back of that. And then you can drill down and say, I only want to see items that are project-like templates. Looks like it's employee onboarding for the most part. Or you can scrub that and say, actually, no, I only want to see projects of a certain status. Let's see all projects that are not started. These are the ones I'm concerned with. We need to be aware of these. So you've got this ability to go through and navigate through every project within your programs and portfolios, and to get a really clear view of the work that needs to be done. You can also then start to look at specific examples. So let's say we're looking at our employee onboarding one. We can very quickly see the health of the project, the tasks, what are open, what are closed, what's running late, who's been assigned them, are they getting their work done? Looks like I'm the culprit here. And you can manage this in a way that gets you to a level of detail that allows you to cut through so much project portfolio and program information really, really quickly. So very, very useful. So that's the goal of the way we're designing I've designed our dashboards. This is all out of the box functionality, and you can build on this. You can leverage this as it is, or you can work with us and our customer success partners to refine and enhance specific aspects of this to your requirements. So really, really useful. Now, all of this is your first evolve. So you've evolved the process with your project templates and your portfolio and program dashboards. You're getting to a point where you're potentially saying, right, let's leave that now for a period. It can be a week, it can be a month, it can be a year. Manage the projects with this formalized approach, multiple templates assigned to different projects as you require them, further reporting detail included. And then at a certain point, you can say, right, let's go back again. And we've identified some gaps, or the team is maturing on their project management journey. Let's find some repeatable success by optimizing the project pipeline. So we start to introduce more formal project management request processes, or we start to introduce resource management at the resourcing level, or we start to further manage the configuration of your templates and new templates that you want to build for yourself that are bespoke, or you also potentially start to manage security. So all of these are options as we start to work through a potential second evolve. All of this is based on what you need and what you require at the time. These are just recommendations based on functionality that we've built within the app that you can leverage or leave at your discretion. So from a project request management perspective, over on the right-hand side here, you'll see for Project Lite, you've got a draft request, a single approval request stage before the project is created. For Standard, it gets into a two-step approval process. You have to both accept and then approve, and then a three-step approval process for Structured. So what you can do is start to build this out yourself, look at how you want to build your requests and how you want those requests to function through various stage gates before receiving a full approval and a permission to go ahead and create the project. The second thing you can do then is start to look at your resourcing. So we've got a resource utilization dashboard that we built out a couple of releases ago, and I'll demo that for you now. What this does is it gives you a single view, not of the tasks and of the projects, but of the resourcing and how it's been allocated or how much of it has been allocated across the app. So let's see if we can get that out. That's as big as it goes. For example, looking at my own name here, Connor Gagan, I can see that on the 19th of Feb, I've got 16 hours available for some reason, and I've got 8 of them allocated. So I'm at 50% capacity, down to 37 and 12. So we can see I've got some capacity assigned. I'm assigned here in white, so some work is being done against my profile, but it's not full capacity. It's not 100%, i.e. green. Then I've got colleagues that are assigned 100% in green. I've got colleagues that are over capacity, that are doing or assigned tasks that are more than there's available hours across the projects that they're assigned to. And then I've got a host of colleagues here that have no work assigned whatsoever. So there's opportunity there for them to lean in, to start picking up some of these tasks and working through them. So this is really, really useful, not from a project perspective, but from a resource utilization perspective. Are we seeing resources getting used the way we would wish? Is someone potentially over allocated or under allocated through this process? You can also start to roll this up and see how many hours are assigned across individual projects and across your entire portfolio, and in fact the entire tenant. So for example, down here you'll see there's 6,960 hours available, so less than a third are currently in use. This is a demo environment, so that's not so bad. And then we can actually look at each individual project and task associated with each user. So I actually don't have many tasks assigned, and of those that I do, there's only a couple of them with actual work that I need to get done. So I have a huge amount of available capacity. And you can see this on the right-hand side in the scoreboard of work assigned versus hours available. Looks like Dan's way over capacity across the board. It's really, really useful. And then finally, we looked at project exception days. This is starting to flesh out against each particular project what work is done, what work is not done, what days are available, what days are not available, what are potentially project exception days. So very, very useful overview of time available. So that's your resource utilization. The other thing that was mentioned in this idea of a second evolve is this idea of a form configurator. I've talked a lot about templates and how we build our templates and manage them. So I've gone down into the templates area, specifically looking at project templates. And what I've got in here is the project light template. So this is what I used to create that first project I demoed for you today. Here, what you can do is you can create a template that you can always refer to when you create a new project, and you can build up all of this preloaded information. So it's really, really helpful, and it saves a lot of time. You can also reference content templates, so work that's already been done of an existing project, and pull in all of those tasks into the Gantt as well, should you wish. The form configure element of this is on the second tab. And what this is essentially doing is allowing you to decide what information do you want to include. Do you want status reports in your light template? I'm not going to change it here because this is the default. Or do you want to include actions, issues, risks, stages, any of these items? You can configure this as you wish. Now, the way to do this is to create a copy and then work with the copy. That's the recommended approach. So if I pop back out, I've got my own Project Light CG copy here, and I've gone in and started to make changes to it. And I can preload all of this information in any project I create. So really, really helpful to use the form configurator to determine exactly what I want to configure without having to go and engage with code or would have to go engage with us. You can manage all of this yourself within the templates area. The last thing I wanted to talk about is security. In the last release, we developed the ability to create confidential projects. What drives this is our owning business unit. So you've got a business unit that sits separate from the rest of your business units, or your standard access for your team. And what you can do then is only load in yourself and say myself as two members of that confidential business unit. And we will be the only users that has access. And then what you can do is manage your confidential projects inside of that business unit under the portfolio and program. And then if you wish to add users to a particular project to come in and to complete work, you can manage them via the team member access tab. So you can come in here, add team members that need to be added to complete work, remove them when the work is done, maintain the project in the confidential space, and you can manage restricted projects throughout your project management journey with that approach. So really, really valuable, really useful ability to make sure that information that is sensitive can be set aside and has limited audience based on your discretion. So those were the 4 items I wanted to talk through as part of a potential second evolve. All of this, as I said, and I've said multiple times, is configurable and up to you to decide how you want to proceed. We will be there working hand in glove with you on your project management journey, but we want to make sure that you're aware of the opportunities that you can put in place and the structure you can put in place to deliver your project management success strategy. So there's a couple of references in here to, why manage it in one tool. The key callouts are improved governance, managing widely distributed teams across various time zones, leveraging your cloud-based apps, making it a little bit more informal. So I can come in here very, very quickly and see what work needs to be done. I can start on it. I don't have to go and ask somebody. I don't have to go and check in with somebody. I don't have to wait for an Excel file to be saved. All of this is sitting centrally. The ability to share documentation and to store documentation at the project level and across portfolios and programs means that I always know where the information is sitting that I need. And then finally, it's the reporting. It's the out-of-the-box 11 dashboards that I've demonstrated some of today, and the associated Power BI and associated information that's sitting in there. That's incredibly valuable to give you what you need. So that's it from me. I'm happy to open to questions. Michal, I might turn my camera back on, and if you want to pop back on as well, I'm very happy to take questions or work through any feedback from the call.
Absolutely. Thanks for that. That was great. And there was a ton of information in there, which I hope everybody found very useful. So folks, we do have a little bit of time. We said we'd keep you for 45 minutes today. So we do have a little bit of time for questions, and we can stay on and answer as many as possible. So if you do have any questions, please just add them to the questions panel and go to webinar. So that's on the top right-hand screen for me. While people want to add any questions, I might just run one very quick poll. Just based off what we saw, I asked you at the start, are you using Microsoft 365 for your project management? And I guess now I just want to know, would you now consider using BrightWork 365, having seen what you saw? So maybe you're definitely want to use it. Maybe you've got some questions, or you just like to see a little bit more first. Maybe it's just not for you. So I'm just going to let that run for just a minute. And as I said, you can add your questions if you do have any. We have some time to add some questions, to ask some questions right now. And I'm going to let that run for another just a couple of seconds. Okay, thank you very much, folks. So most people have said that they're definitely interested, which we love to hear. Some people said they've got a couple of questions, and the last couple of people have said they'd like to see more, which is great. So let me just close out that poll. Okay, and I'm going to close that. Perfect. Okay, so let me just dive into the questions here. First off, Christopher says, great job, very clear. Thank you for your feedback, Christopher. Good to talk to you today. Let's take a look at Thais. In resource utilization, where does the software get the actual hours performed in the project? Is it manual, or is it possible to link out to other software, for example?
So the resource utilization is calculated based on the tasks that have been assigned. It does a min-max of work across each day from the earliest task to the latest task and assigns the value based on that. Is it integrated with anything else currently? No, but because it is pushing through to Power BI, there's opportunities to integrate it and to pull that information out as part of a potential customization, if you wish.
Excellent. Let me keep going here. Christopher wants to know, how do we get the actual time worked? Similar kind of vein.
So let me hop back in for a second and just make sure this is clear on screen. So we're currently managing available time and assigned or allocated time. Actual time work isn't currently calculated. You have the ability to go in and reduce the task once complete to the time that you've actually completed the task across, but currently the actual time is not tracked in here.
Okay. I'm going to keep going. Rachel wants to know, how are the costs and budgets getting reported? Is that configurable?
Yep, it is configurable. So it's essentially within, well, I can show you within the dashboard as well. I'm not sure in the demo environment if there's going to be too much in here, but let's have a look. Yeah, there is. So essentially what you can do within each individual project, and I did it very quickly with limited inputs, is you can assign costs to assign individual cost elements with costs associated there. And what you can then do is start to build those up. And in the project, you can start to see how those costs are tracking, and then you can start to see them against project health, against project managers, and so on. So it's all managed via the cost element that I demonstrated. You're building out your costs in there, either through a single cost entry or multiple cost entries, and then through the reporting, you can start to see a bit of a profile of what that looks like.
Nice. Christopher said that we answered his question, so hopefully, I hope that was in reference to your last question, Christopher, because you've also asked, can the resource time be worked to, sorry, my apologies. Can the resource time be used to calculate the cost?
That's a good question. That would be something that we'd have to either customize or look at as a future potential release candidate, but not currently.
Okay, cool. Okay, and final question here actually is from Lois, who wants to know, what is the cost per license? So this question, the best way of getting the answer to this question is actually on our website, I would say. The BrightWork, do you know what? I'll pop it through in the chat for you because it's comprehensive. And it's also got an excellent Q&A at the bottom. So I'm just going to put it in here. Hopefully you can all see that. So we've got our very reasonable pricing plan. And as I said, a comprehensive FAQ at the bottom that kind of goes into any detail about licenses, both for 365 and also any Microsoft 365 licenses you might need as well to use the product. So I think that's probably the best place to start. But what I will add is if you have further questions about anything we discussed, or you want to talk a little bit more about licensing, which is a little bit out of the scope of today's webinar, I'm going to pop through a link in the chat to my colleague, Adam. So what I've popped through there is a link to his calendar. So Adam is the best person to talk to for the next steps. If you want to talk more about pricing, or you want to, a couple of people said in the poll that they wanted to see more of the product. So that's something that we can absolutely facilitate. We can do custom demo for you to address your specific project and portfolio management needs. I'm sure you have lots of questions as well about what Connor talked about in terms of the first evolve, and especially the second evolve. A lot of people find that very interesting, and they have huge amounts of questions about that, because that's where you really get into customizing it for your own specific company or your own team or whatever. So that the best place to start would be with the call with Adam, and we actually have his contact details, I think, on the next slide as well. I don't think I'm missing anything there, Connor, am I, in terms of that?
No, I think that's it. If there's any other questions, happy to stay on and answer.
Absolutely, but otherwise I'm going to leave you with Adam's details here, his phone numbers, his email address, and also his I popped through the link to his calendar in the chat. And as I said, folks, this whole webinar has been recorded, so if you have to step away or you want to share it with a colleague, Adam is actually going to email you tomorrow with a link to the recording. So please keep an eye out for that tomorrow. Otherwise, thank you very much, folks, for joining us. And we hope you took something from it, and we hope that we will talk to you again very soon. So thank you, everyone, for joining. And Connor, thank you so much for today's presentation.
No worries. Pleasure. Thank you all.
Hopefully we'll talk to you all soon. Have a great rest of your day. See you later.
Bye, guys.